All right, my friends, I'm happy to have you here today. Today is another special day in the world of being an entrepreneur. Hello, and welcome to my live broadcast. In this particular video, I'm going to be sharing about a friend of mine and a sponsor in one of the businesses that I'm involved in. He reached out to me and showed great integrity and great courage and strength. And Dontay Kearney is an awesome man. He's an awesome entrepreneur. He's a leader in his community, and he's teaching me how to be the same. You're going to have an opportunity, if you'd like, to ask Dontay some questions. And if you have any comments or anything like that as we move forward through the interview, you're more than welcome to share that. You're going to have that opportunity because I love you and I know you love me. Having said that, for those of you that are watching live, you know me as Dean Brown. I am a professional dad, and I am a holistic, high performance, law of attraction coach, a digital online marketer, and I help professional dads and men with that law of attraction, high performance coaching program that helps people build a 6 and 7 figure business, multi-stream. I either help you start a business or help you build the business you have. I'm a brother to those that know me and a friend to those that don't. And I'm super happy to have you here with me tonight because I am super happy to have Dontay Kearney with me tonight. Welcome, Dontay.
Thank you, Dean. I appreciate you, man. And it's been a long time coming. We talked about this a couple months ago, so.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did, my brother. So I'm just going to jump right in there. So I'm curious. I know your expertise. You've been at this for a few years, and I'm just going to ask you to share with me what your specific expertise is and what it is that, the story of your life that prompted you to become an entrepreneur, my friend. Go for it. Let us know.
Absolutely. So my expertise is to basically work with anybody, whether you're just starting a business or you've been in business for a long time. It's to find your niche because, and this will kind of tie on and segue into my story, but most people that get into entrepreneurship and business, they don't necessarily know their direction. They don't know what their gift is. So my job is to find out what it is that they're passionate about, something that they know they can get up every morning and do and turn it into a possible business. So I said to somebody the other day, like, I don't care if it's knitting, you know, you could be into knitting, right? You could be into knitting and still turn it into something profitable if you do it the right way.
That's right.
So, segueing into my story, 7 years ago, like I said, I've been in entrepreneurship for over 7 years, and I've studied it, I've dabbled in it, and a lot of my 7 years of being in entrepreneurship was more of trial and error. So where I started with was Amway. So a friend of mine got me introduced into Amway, and basically it was this is a recruitment thing. It wasn't like, oh, hey, I just want to recruit you and that's it. Like, he was my friend. He was just like, you want to make a couple extra bucks? I said, sure. So I learned about Amway and what they stood for. He took me to a conference in Baltimore, and I loved it. I fell in love with it. I found out about financial freedom. I found out about a lot of things that they preach about being, a freedom maker and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, once that was all over, it was like, okay, here's the script. Here's this. Figure it out.
Yeah.
And
You're
I'm
on
like,
your own.
yeah, right. And I'm like, okay.
I don't know what to do. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, of course, my friend wasn't going to like leave me behind. He tried to help me a little bit here and there, but there wasn't really a solid basis back then. It was more, they weren't doing business online during in 2013. They were doing more word of mouth, face to face stuff. And me, as being as introverted as I am, I had a hard time just walking up to anybody and saying, "Hey, how you doing?" Knowing in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm trying to recruit you. So
Yeah.
it's tough. I never wanted to
Yeah.
be that cheesy car salesman. So
I
long
hear you.
story short, it never worked out for me. And obviously me and my friends are still friends to this day. He's the one that actually opened my mind up to being an entrepreneur, being a business person. So I'm forever grateful for him. Going from there, I've tried door-to-door sales. I've been business-to-business sales. I've done affiliate marketing, marketing myself online. I just didn't have a home. And the one thing that almost crushed my dream was working for this company. Well, I can't even say the name for copyright reasons, but
That's
it
fine.
was a yeah, it was a sales company that I worked for in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And when I first started, they promised you everything. So originally, how I got started with this job, I didn't. I was broke. I didn't have a job. I needed a job. And they said, hey, we'll pay you $300 a week until your commissions kick in. I said, okay, I need a job. So, you know,
Yeah.
well, I took it.
Yeah.
And so what they was, I was basically, they had a contract with Verizon Fios. So where I would go door to door. And basically what the trainer told me was, this is how you do it, blah, 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 blah. So my very first week, I made $1,000. So I was
Nice.
like, okay, for door to door sales, this isn't bad. Man, when I tell you that door to door sales, if you ever want to learn how to do sales, door to door is the way to go, man. You're going to see every ugly thing you can see when it comes to door to door sales. It's very mentally tough. So, and the thing was what kind of crushed my dreams and what kind of like put me in a sense of, okay, this might not be for me. One day I was on a high with this company, top producer, top sales. I made like 2,500 in a week. And then I started to go into a down period as any business goes through. You go through an up and down period. So at some point, during my down period, I had to train a new person that was on my team. And I taught him how to be a top producer. Same thing. He eventually became a top producer. The thing with the company is very cutthroat. When you're doing good, they'll love on you. When you're doing bad, they'll get away from you. And
Gotcha.
that's exactly what they did. They told people to stay away from me because I'm not making sales. The guy that I trained literally looked me in my face. Excuse my language, but they made me look like I was his bitch now. And it got to the point where it deep down in my soul that hurt. It
Yep.
it
It would.
hurt
It
because
would.
I was like, "What? I raised you.
Yeah.
Now you're coming back at me." So they literally taught a cutthroat environment, like a doggy dog world environment, and that's not what was for me.
That's
And
right.
it got to so bad to the point where for 4 weeks in a row, I had $0 paychecks because it was strictly commission. And it got to the point where they slapped an eviction notice on my door. And when I came home one night, my wife told me, she was like, Dontay, you either gonna leave this job or I'm leaving you. It's that simple.
Wow. Wow.
So it was to the point where I just made a decision. I said, you know what, I love my wife. I'm not gonna put her in this situation, so I gotta go.
Yeah.
At that point, I didn't have a car, I had no money, and we almost lost our place. So I literally on a bus ride home from Philly, I cried myself all the way home, and I cried myself to sleep because I felt so much of a failure, you know.
Yep. I hear you.
So it wasn't until recently, I say like earlier this year, beginning of this year, where my mentor Ali Medallion reached out to me, and I met him through a friend, and I'm forever grateful for Asher for introducing me to him. And since then, Ali has always told me, like, look, don't worry about nothing. I'm going to work with you. And it was a little bit of a growth process, but it was just more seeing the inner. He saw what I didn't see, and now I'm finally seeing what he's seeing, and it's like it's starting to blossom now. It's like
Beautiful.
I love it. I
Right
love what
on.
I'm becoming. I love what the future holds for me, and I'm forever grateful for Ali and everybody else that I've been introduced to.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So that's an awesome story because that's a rag to riches kind of thing where you've been in that tough spot. You've been down to the dregs. You've had the battles. You've had the tough lessons. Now, I almost said the word failure, and I don't believe in the word failure because as far
Right,
as I'm concerned, every tough thing in our life is a lesson. It's
right,
teaching us to get to know what not to do and how to get to that next level of what to do, and that's that always for everybody that's different. Nobody has that same background and that same foundation. So, just out of
mm.
curiosity, Dontay, what would be some advice that you would give some of you maybe your most powerful advice that someone that wants to get into the field that you're into now? Tell us exactly. You are a
I am a mindset and business coach. So I teach any type of business tips, mindset. A lot of the times I focus on mindset because that's what I'm really passionate about. I'm more focused on, showing people that it's possible, that
yes.
crushing those limiting beliefs, and making sure that they know that they can do this, that it's in them.
Awesome. So, what would be your biggest piece of advice for someone starting out in that business?
So someone who's just starting out, my suggestion, if you can do your research, go find a mentor. Go find somebody, like Dean or myself or Ali, who can and do your research. Don't just fall for anybody. The internet, man, is horrible when it
Oh,
comes to, because everybody thinks they're a coach. No offense to nobody, but everybody thinks they're a coach now. Everybody thinks they're a mentor now and a leader. But I want to know what your true credentials are. I want to
yeah.
know who you are as a person. I don't care if you've never trained anybody. Show me who you are as a person and what you've been through, and I'll base my decision based off of that. So
Oh,
my best advice: go find you a mentor who has credibility, whether they've trained one person or 1,000 people. Find that one credible person.
yeah. You've mentioned something powerful there, and that, my friend, is integrity. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something that all business should be based on, is good character, good integrity. You experienced that in your early days where they turned their back on you, and they bitch slapped you essentially, right? And they just
Mm-hmm.
gave you that,
Exactly.
they just said, hey brother, come on in, and then next thing you know, they're working against you instead of with you. I've been there, and that sucks. That really does. And that teaches lessons, man.
It
That
does.
gives you character strength. That teaches you what's right and what's wrong, and it makes you not want to do it to other people. Absolutely, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to this place in your life now, brother. What do you think would be one of the biggest resources that helped you along the way? It could be the books. I know mentors are a big thing, having a coach and a mentor. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe share something along the lines of the books, or training, or something that you've had.
So resources that have helped me along the way: one, YouTube. YouTube, YouTube is a huge resource of education that's just sitting there and no one's utilizing it. People all the time will tell you, read a book, do this, do that. YouTube has so much information out
Does.
there for you to
Yeah,
look up, and all you have to do is look it up and take it in.
that's
There
right.
was a video that I got me through for those 7 years that I've been in entrepreneurship. There's one motivational speaker that I wish to one day meet. His name is Eric Thomas. I watched his video over and over and over and over and over again about, when he talks about the story when the guru pulls him out into the water, and then he tells him, he dunks his head in, and then he pulls his head out and said, what did you want to do when you were underwater? He said, I just wanted to breathe. He said, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. I've heard that so many times before in the past 7 years, but for some apparent reason, it just clicked. It just clicked to me that I was like, wait a minute, he's right. If I want to succeed as bad as I want to breathe, I'll be successful. That
Right?
means cutting out every single distraction that I have in my
Yes.
life and just
Yes.
focusing on the thing that I need to do. So, just that alone, just that word that I found from just off of a video that I watched for over 7 years, has changed my life in so many ways. So,
Cool.
YouTube is a big resource for me, and of course, audiobooks, because I'll be upfront. I'm not a big fan of just sitting there reading a hardcore copy book unless it's a really good book. So, but I'm more of a guy that can listen to audio books. Right now, I'm listening to Dr. Stan Harris's How to Build a Team Fast. So that's another thing you can listen to. I listen to Ali's podcast.
Yep.
So definitely, if you want to research that as your strategic partner, that's another podcast I listen to. So yeah,
Cool.
there's a bunch of resources.
Yeah, there's a lot of podcasts out there. There's a lot of different resources. There's that today, with the internet, and with the different people that do have character and integrity. There is a lot of resources out there. You just have to look. My
Mm-hmm.
daughter's working. I have an 18-year-old daughter that's trying to build a business, and she's been asking me questions recently. And I said to her, "Have you done the research yet?" And she goes, "Well, I don't know where to start." And I said, don't worry, YouTube will solve that for you. Just ask a question and YouTube will give you
Right.
the idea where you got to go. So you're absolutely right. YouTube is awesome. Now, when it comes
Yes.
to mentors, you mentioned Ali Madawi, but what would you say that Ali Madawi is your greatest mentor, or would you maybe give some credit to someone else as well?
Um, Obviously, I can't just give credit to like just one person. There's obviously other people in my life that's influenced me. I'd say the very first person that's influenced me in my life is obviously my parents. My
Cool.
parents been there from day one. My mother being a hardworking mother as she always has been. My father showing us the true epitome of being a man and being a hardworking person in this
Yeah.
world. So, my parents obviously was my first, but I'd say like outside of my parents, the first person who actually saw something in me and believed in me was my head coach. And God rest his soul, he just passed away a couple weeks ago,
Oh,
or 2, 3 weeks ago. but he
Sorry to hear that.
actually saw something in me, when I was playing football, and I just loved playing the sport. I obviously I wanted to be great, but I didn't know my potential. He did, and he pulled me to the side one day. He said, "Look, if you want to be good, you got to have to put in some extra work." So literally every practice, he would grill me and grill me and grill me, and I understood why he was doing it. But
Yeah.
man, he used to piss me off. But because of him, man, I finished high school with 3.2 GPA. I had so
Beautiful.
many accolades from playing football. Being a South Jersey football all star to winning track thrower of the year. Yeah, so he was the very
Beautiful.
first person to see my potential.
For me, it's one of those things where I always notice fairly quickly the potential in someone. I can tell right away whether or not someone has character, has integrity, has the first thing you need to do is be willing. The second thing you need to be is coachable, and the third thing you need to be is hungry.
Right.
And when we find all those three things in someone, sometimes we see it and they don't, right? And that's where we can really appreciate these mentors, these coaches that step up and say, "Hey, man, all I need to see more from you is this." And all
Mm-hmm.
you need to do is do it, right? And there's been times when I've coached people and shown them that this has been successful for me. So all you got to do is the same thing. It's
Right.
not like you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to do what I've done, and you can put your own spin on it because a wheel is a wheel, right?
Mm-hmm.
It spins. You just got to put your spin on the wheel, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where the character of today's marketing comes in, where it's all about relationships. It's all about connecting to the people with integrity, like I mentioned, and being yourself, not trying to sell up front, but just saying, "Hey, man, you know, who are you? What do you do? What is your pain point? What is your challenge? How can I help you with that?" Because that's where you build a relationship, and that's where you grow strength together as a team. Because you
Mm-hmm.
can't do anything alone. We need to be a team, right? Which is why I appreciate you, Dontay, because we got together through watching each other's stories on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, right? And I remember watching you do some stuff on your stories and thinking, how did he do that? And when I think you might remember me asking, how did such and
Yep.
such, how did you do that, right? And you, of course, helped me, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then I realized that, you know what? I don't know who this guy is, but I like what he does, and I appreciate his willingness to give value and to share and to help with no hesitation, right? And that's the
Right.
way we should all be with the people that we meet in this world. We should all give something, and that leads me to something that I'm curious: is there a myth in our industry, something that people believe that they shouldn't believe? Is there something about that you'd like to talk about, maybe debunk?
Absolutely. The myth of people don't share their information. And I hear that all the time, even me, obviously I'm no seven-figure earner or yet, or six-figure earner yet, but I will be soon. Well, it's the myth of someone won't show me how to get where they are. I used to believe that. I used to believe that all the time. And here I have, Mr. Ali Medallia himself was a seven-figure earner telling me how I'm supposed to get there. So um, there's people out there ready and willing to show you how to do that.
Yeah, yeah,
You just have to find them. And when you find them, do what they say.
that's
I
right.
prayed for that opportunity to have somebody in my life who can tell me what you have to do, how you have to do it, and how long it's going to take. And
Absolutely.
it finally fell on my lap last year. So it's been a blessing for me, and for anybody, like I said, anybody that's just thinking that myth is true, it's not. It's
That's
not.
right.
Go find somebody who is actually willing to show you the way. And the key is here. The X factor is here. Go do it. Don't just listen to what he's saying. Go do it.
That's right. That's right. As soon as you find that person, because you're going to find lots of fakers, you're going to find lots of people that want to take. They don't want to give anything. They want to
Yep.
make sure that if they give something, they're going to get something back. These are all the things you got to watch for, and these are the things that are not real in this world. We got to understand that there's people out there that are trying to take. They're not trying to help. And
Mm-hmm.
when you find someone like Ali Madawi, or for my say, I love Ali too, because you and I are both in the same business, and he's been very, very kind to me. We connect, and that's part of it. We have to connect, right? We have to be
Exactly.
part of the same family. We have to have that background where we make it, what I say makes sense to you, what you say makes sense to me, and we have to be able to build on that relationship, right? So, and it's one of those things where we don't always realize that we've learned lessons. Sometimes we think, wait a second, I'm the imposter syndrome, I'm not good enough, right?
Yeah, right.
And you think that, well, wait a second, I can't look at him, I can't do that. But the thing is that every successful person started out with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's a powerful thing to keep in mind. So anytime someone's starting out or even falling back, I mean, lots of people have big businesses and lose it, right? And there's places where you got to remember that, hey, man, I did it once, or I saw him do it. I just need to be, I know I can do it. And keep that strength of belief in there, have that faith. Now, I'm a big law of attraction fan. So for me, it's, all the things that go with the law of attraction, but we won't get into that right now. We're going to keep our focus on you, my brother, because that's why we're here, right? So
right, absolutely.
I mentioned.
No, you preaching, man. You preaching.
I mentioned some lessons earlier. How you went through these challenges as a door-to-door salesman. That's something I've only done a little bit of, and I didn't really enjoy it. I found it to suck royally.
Yeah, man, it has its pitfalls, but it's like a lot of character building and
it does. So just to share with me, brother, do you think you can put your finger on one big lesson, something that is the biggest thing that you learned that you can help other people with?
Just in this journey alone.
Yeah.
So the biggest lesson I can say for myself is just putting in the work. Putting in the work. You got to put in the work. There's no shortcuts. There's no alleyways. There's no nothing. You have to put in the work. And the one thing that kind of helped me put in that work is just utilizing the power list that I have, stacking those W's every single day, taking things day by day. What helps me do things day by day is that power list. Like I have to do it every single day. And one of the things that why people quit is because they don't focus on the day to day. They just think they can get to their long-term goals right now, and that's not the case. Anything you do, it takes time. When a baby learns to walk, they have to keep falling on their booty before they start walking, right?
That's right.
So
you got to walk before you can run, brother. You got to walk.
Right. So if that's the case, if a baby has to do that, why do we think that we get things instantly? No, you got to put in the work in, day out.
Learn those lessons. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And the biggest thing too, I would say is, I will always get some type of reward or success in something, and then I think I can just take my foot off the gas. You got to keep your foot on the gas, man.
That's right. You
have to, because as soon as you let go of the gas, now you're gonna go. And now you got to work twice as hard to get back to where you were.
That's right.
And that's demoralizing, man. It really is. That's why people quit, because they get some success. They take their foot off the gas, then they go right back down. And it's even harder now to get back to where they were. So they just quit.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of off-roading in my truck. I took a 2015 Colorado and modified it up, and I love to go off-roading. And when you're in a climb, when you're climbing up a big rock or a big hill, or you're going through some thick mud, the worst thing you can do is take your foot off the gas.
Exactly.
You're not going anywhere if you stop pulling those that torque and those RPMs. You got to keep going. And the thing is that, like you mentioned, when we are doing the steps and keeping what our mentors and coaches are telling us, take that as your inspiration, as your motivation, and keep going. Right? Don't think you've made it when you've only just begun to make it. Right. So that's super powerful, my friend. That's super powerful. So in this career, that 7 years that you've been working on this and all the struggles that you've been through and the challenges that you've faced, what would be the one thing that you think you're trying to accomplish at this time? What is your main focus? What is your main passion?
So my main focus right now is to touch as many lives as I can, impact as many lives as I can. I had 2 calls today that I was on, just a virtual coffee that I was sitting on with people, and these people didn't know me from a can of paint, but,
I like that. It's a good one.
But because of my energy, man, because I am a positive person, I always have been, because I love to be funny, witty, have a sense of humor. Even if I am corny, I don't care if I'm corny. People love me anyway. Yeah. it's infectious. People understand that when you are a positive person, it's hard to stay positive day in and day out. But even when you don't feel like it, you don't know how that can make somebody's day. You could be having a horrible day, but that person next to you could be having the worst day ever, and you're still able to show them a smile, make them laugh. You could have been the brightest spot of their day. You don't even know it.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with this call earlier that I had. Is this, she's a single mother of four, and she's a mindset coach. She wants to teach people how to get through and manage through anxiety and depression. And I was just, the whole time, my thing was just having a conversation with her, joking with her, laughing with her. And it went from, because I can tell when we first jumped on the call, she was like, okay, how you doing, to, oh my gosh, I feel like I've known you my whole life. So it's just being there for people, as many people as I can, and just saying, hey, you can do this, you got it. So my goal is, if I can affect 1 million lives, I'll do it.
Awesome. Now, all the people that you have helped, have you found as something that's a consistent challenge that people face, something that you find is happens with lots of different people, but it seems to be the same tripping point, the same challenge?
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest challenge that anybody faces in occurring with anything that they do is themselves. And that was me too. I was stood in my own way. And that's what happens to anybody with anything that you're trying to do. You get in your own way because you don't believe in yourself. You have these self-limiting beliefs that were taught to you since you were a kid, since you were little, that you're not good enough, that nobody wants to hear your story, that you're not smart enough, you're not bright enough. You hear this all the time. And because they're said to you, and it's multiple times, you actually believe it.
You start to believe it.
You're right. So, the idea is, when you want to better yourself, you kind of have to unteach yourself things so you can learn something else.
That's right.
So, it was me just, because I was able to do it now, and I'm still doing it to this day, because I have my moments still. Everybody, we're human. I still have my moments, but, it's just telling to yourself, like, I was listening to Kevin Hart's audiobook, and one of the things that he says that he does, it may be funny, it may be weird, but it works. When he hears anything negative, he says force field, and like, he blocks off any negativity that's coming his way. Like, he said, you have as an adult, you have a choice to block out anything that you don't want in your life.
That's right.
And he chooses to block out any type of negativity because he knows it's just going to drag him down.
That's right.
So, the biggest thing I'll say is just people get in their own way. So you have to learn how to get out of your way. Give yourself permission to say, excuse me, I want to be great, so move out of my way.
And so that brings something to my mind. I was on a Zoom call with you on the Y.E.P challenge there a couple of weeks ago, and we ended up having an opportunity to ask Dr. Breakthrough a question. Do you remember that? Right. The question that you asked is, how do you get out of your own way? I remember that. What I'm trying to say here is that a true entrepreneur always wants, even though you believe that, even though you practice getting out of your own way, you always want to hear someone else successful. How do they do it? What's another way for me to make sure I don't trip myself up? So I really appreciate that about you, Dontay. And we're very thankful to have Annette Lovable Roberts here, because she's been sharing some comments with us. I think you might have seen that on the banner.
Absolutely. Hey, Annette.
Hey, good to have you here, Annette. Thank you for showing up. We appreciate you. And we love the fact that you're putting in some comments there. And that unshakable belief is one of my coaches says. You got to have that unshakable belief. And we have that little voice inside our head that always kind of gets in our way, always says, you can't do that, or you shouldn't do that, or or you have someone else that blows you down and says, hey man, what are you doing that for, and stuff like that. And this is our opportunity. For me, I call that the haters brick. I build my business on haters bricks, right? Because that brick is the thing that's the toughest thing there is for us to deal with, is the haters brick. They throw that brick at us and they think they're going to stop us. But what I do is I take it and I build my foundation with it. I let myself get stronger with it. So I find that is something really powerful. I can't remember what it was that Dr. Breakthrough said, because that guy can talk.
That guy's amazing.
Oh my goodness, that guy can let her rip, man. He's something else.
He can.
Oh, wow. He's so inspirational. I mean, one of the
Mhm.
things I always remember is you may not have it all together, but together we can have it all. And I love that part,
Nice,
right?
nice.
And that's one of the things that sticks in my mind with him because he's awesome. And so, what would be one of your favorite books? Do you have a favorite book that you find that you listen to? Not, I think you mentioned a podcast, or was that a book that you actually were talking about?
So right now, my favorite, and it's more of an audiobook. My favorite audiobook is The Decision by Kevin Hart. Now, some people might say, "Oh, he's a comedian." No, listen. This man is a multimillionaire. He's an actor. He is an artist. He just does the guy does everything. And even though he might add a little comic relief in the audiobook, he talks about some real good stuff, man. I'm talking like how to be mentally tough in 2020. He really goes into it. And it's like he calls it a mental boot camp. And it's like it's awesome for me because a lot of 90% of our battle in life is here. And it's like if you don't have that contained, you're going to struggle for a very
That's right.
long time.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
that book really helped my mentality of just being more of a positive individual, how to block out negativity, how to be patient when you're trying to work towards your success and how to have that hardworking mentality. So, that's my favorite
Cool.
podcast. So, not podcast, more of an audiobook so far.
Awesome. And you mentioned something that's pretty powerful, and that's the ability to talk ourselves out of things and
Yep.
to say things that we damage ourselves with, that it doesn't come from somewhere else. It's our own mental thoughts, and that can be
Mhm.
our biggest challenge. So that's awesome, brother. Thanks for sharing that. Because say the book again. What's the name of the book?
Kevin Hart's The Decision.
The
It's on
Decision.
Audible.
Cool, cool. I'm actually going to type that into the banner. The Decision. And the
Absolutely.
so go ahead and tell us what's your biggest promotion that you got going on right now.
So right now we are having our 5-day business challenge going on, and I am excited, man. For those of you guys who missed it, man, we had Les Brown on there, Dr. Breakthrough, Jimmy Ezel, he's doing what he's doing, and Ali Madawi being a TEDx speaker and been doing $1 billion in sales over 13 years. There's so much information that is packed into 5 days that you can gain from. And where I remember when this challenge first started back in July, when I first was joined by Y.E.P and learned from Ali Madawi, the challenge really helped me. So people always talk about all the time that they start off hot and then they start going cold because they don't have that motivation to keep pushing them. Well, this is why we do the challenge every other week, or sometimes we let it drag out a little bit and then come back with the challenge. So because we want to come back with fresh new content. But it's amazing to be a part of the challenge because especially when you feel like your motivation tank is low, you get a chance to go through that challenge, you're back where you need to be, you're back where you're going. And they're not all about motivation. They're all about giving you business strategies too, how to market yourself, brand yourself. We have a top 5 content creator on Pinterest that's teaching us tomorrow about marketing strategies. We have a LinkedIn lady boss who has mastered LinkedIn and how she, promotes herself on there. And also Debbie Morton is a person that you want to listen to. She used to have her own high ticket coaching business, and because she's done very well with high ticket coaching, and she's also done a well with the sales part of it. And she's just now exclusively to our community because she she actually is our very first emerald, and she's an awesome person to learn from. She teaches you how to find your target audience because that's very important.
It is.
So
It is.
this challenge is I promote it, and I don't care whether you do business with us or not. That's not my preference. My preference is to get you into the challenge and gain as much value as you can and apply it to you. So
That's right.
and it's exciting to me because it allows me to just it makes me full. It overflows.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's awesome.
And I understand it's free. You don't even have to pay, and it's for 5 days, an hour a day. And if you want to upgrade, you can go to the afternoon edition for VIP, and
Yeah,
there's
you're
different
right. You're
bonus.
right. You're right. And I forgot to mention that. Man, listen, see, this is why you're the best. No, listen, guys, if with this 5-day challenge, you're not paying a dime to do this challenge. You're talking about, you're in the business world. For masterminds like these, you're going to have to pay for north of $10,000 or more. these guys don't speak for like pennies. They speak for a lot of money. So especially Les Brown. Les Brown, I'm pretty
Right.
sure they paid a pretty penny for him to come here. So, you're getting all this information for free because why? We believe in giving you the value, as much value as you can to apply to yourself. And then we'll talk about what tools you can utilize with us, or even if we fit in your picture. So the thing is, we always talk about, we never want to impede what you're doing. We just wanted to see if we're in a puzzle piece to fix your picture.
Perfect.
So, that the challenge is definitely awesome. So why wouldn't you take advantage of a mastermind that doesn't cost you any dollar?
That's right. And the thing that sold me most amazingly was because I'm a high ticket, high performance law of attraction coach, and my clients don't get my services for free. I'm not cheap
Right.
either. And the beautiful thing is that what I give is high value, and in that we're always looking for the highest value. So
Right.
when I saw the challenge, I was impressed. I thought, wow, these guys are no joke. These guys are serious. They're good
Mm-hmm.
speakers. They're qualified. They have the background. They have the experience. They have the charisma, the power of presence that these people have. They know
Mm-hmm.
their game, right? Like you and I are learning so much from them. And the beautiful thing that really stepped me into being interested in the whole situation was the incentives,
Yes.
right? Because as a
Yes.
little guy, I might be doing okay, but that doesn't mean I'm where I want to be yet. We all have further to go, right? And one of the biggest challenges for me marketing was the incentives. Can you speak
Right.
to that to us about the incentives a little bit, Dontay?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So we call it our golden goose of a company. So if you're not familiar with incentive marketing, you need to, because incentive marketing can be very powerful for your business. So one of the things I know I've used in our incentive-based marketing for is to retain any customers that I have, generate any leads, or just give them out as a present, So, being able to go up to somebody and say, hey, just for talking to me, here's a stay somewhere in Mexico for 2 or 3 days. You don't have to pay to stay there. You just have to pay the taxes and booking fees. So, and the look that they give me on their face is this real?
Right,
It's
right.
it's awesome to give, and anybody can utilize them for their business. Whether you're a coach, whether you're real estate, whether you're a doc, it doesn't matter. You can utilize incentive marketing for anything whatsoever. And the great thing about any business, once you start doing that with just one person, word of mouth gets out. Everybody's going to want to come with to you. I'm
Absolutely.
sorry, so popped up
Sorry,
on my.
brother.
But
That's all
no,
good.
but yeah, it's pretty awesome to utilize those incentives, and I know you've been taking advantage of it already.
And it makes a huge difference because all the successful big guys, they all have incentives. Amazon, McDonald's, they all have different forms of incentives. And for an individual business owner to come up with incentives, that's out of pocket, right?
Hmm.
Even if you're just coming up with mugs and mouse pads and pens and T-shirts, you still got to find some producer to produce those and get them to the customer, right? So
Absolutely, absolutely,
it's a challenge to provide incentives, man. It really, really is. So
it
this
is.
Y.E.P's ability to come up with these prepaid vacation incentives is super powerful for building your business, and that's one of the things that
Hmm.
just grabbed me right by the throat. Is like, wow, this is, and of course, it was a law of attraction thing for me because as I'm going and building my business, I'm thinking to myself, you know what I really need? I need incentives. I need to find a way. And it's not that I don't have the incentive. I need incentives to attract customers and have people want
Hmm.
to do business, right?
Hmm.
Because there's a lot of people out there that do what we do, but they don't do it like we do it. And that's the beautiful
Hmm.
thing. We have the character, we have, our tribe, as Annette mentioned that she loves the tribe, and we're all building our own tribe. We're all building our own culture, right? So I'm sure that Ali drilled into you your culture. Can you share with us your culture, Dante?
So my culture is basically I want to have that culture of each one teach one. So and being part of my community, don't withhold any information you gotten because we, like you said, that whole myth that we talked about earlier is because people have been withholding information. Now, does that mean everybody does it? No, you just have to find the right person.
That's
But
right.
in my community, I want it to be where it is soon as you find something out, spread it to everyone else.
That's
Don't
right.
withhold this information. This is not a competition. We're all trying to go to the same place.
That's right.
So,
Beautiful.
you know, that
Beautiful.
my culture should be each one teach one.
Awesome. When I used to work on printing presses that made the Sears catalogs here in Canada, and these machines were dangerous, and they were big machines. And one of the things that I always found the most difficult about the when I was not the lead hand or the head pressman, as we called them, I always struggled to work under a guy that would learn stuff or know stuff and not share it, right? Because he made it harder for all of us to be a good team.
But why
And
would
one
he
of
do that though?
well, the thing was, I learned a lesson from that because what I did
Yeah.
when I became a lead hand, a head pressman, was that I knew what wouldn't work by watching what other people did. And
Mm-hmm.
I knew that didn't work because it made people resent him and it made people weaker because if he wasn't there to solve the problem persisted and the press stopped and we didn't have any production. And
Right.
that was a huge lesson for me. So when I became the lead hand, the first thing I did was make sure that, okay, if I learned something or if I had to go fix something that I knew that all my crew didn't know, I would say, hey, everybody come here. I want you to understand what's going on here. And I would say,
Mm-hmm.
now this is the right way to do this. Don't do this and do that. And of course, I worked in a hazardous environment where people could get killed by the
Yeah.
equipment or by the circumstances. So we don't have to worry about that,
Right.
but it still has the same power, right? It still has the ability to bring the team together and give us the strength to work together and to not lose our flow. So when you
Mm-hmm.
each one teach one, I love that, man. I really do, because for me it was one of those where I would show people this is the safe way to do it. This is what you need to know how to do. And the next time this happens, you don't have to go find me if I happen to not be on press, if I'm on break or whatever the case may be, or if I'm available or I'm not available, I'm in a meeting or whatever. You know what to do, and
Mm-hmm.
that makes the flow go. And
Yes, it
that's
does.
right. And that's the power of each one teach one. I love that. I love that. That's very awesome, Dontay. Very awesome. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us? Is there any? Oh, where else can people find you online? Is there a place that people can find you, or just this link here is the best way to go?
So you can find me on my Facebook page. I'm Dontay Kearney. You can find me there. I do have an Instagram page. I haven't really built that up yet. I'm still learning Instagram and their algorithms and whatnot. But you can find me on Instagram, DK Business and Mindset. I'm there. As far as other platforms, I will be starting a YouTube channel soon, so I can
Cool.
start uploading my lives there too.
Beautiful.
So when I do get a YouTube, I'll share that with everyone.
And make
But for now, that's where you can find me.
Well, the whole thing is that when you start doing that, YouTube, let me know, because I'm doing that right now. So,
Absolutely,
so when you need some
absolutely.
help with that, my friend, reach out. I've got you. I've got your
Oh,
back, brother.
absolutely, absolutely.
Awesome. All right. So, is there anything you want to add before we break off?
No, that's it, man. Just, love positivity and just don't withhold anything, man. Just love on people. Be somebody's beacon of light.
Much love.
That's not enough for that today in 2020. 2020 has been a very dark year, and prior to me being introduced to my mentor and just growing myself, I had the same negative mentality. But we need to all come together, be each other's beacons of light and shine bright, because
Awesome.
it's not
Awesome.
enough of that in 2020.
Well, we've learned our lessons in 2020 so that we can take 2021 by storm, I think, brother?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I really appreciate you being here with me. Thank you so much for showing up, Dontay. Thank you for your love and your value and being here and sharing with everybody and giving that powerful message. I really appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
Uh, no problem. Anytime. We'll definitely have to do this again.
You know it. You know it. All right. Bye, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon.
Take care, everybody.